Aircraft deliveries are usually a mundane affair, but not when the first made-in-China Airbus rolled off its Chinese assembly line. This brand new A320 was assembled in Tianjin. It's the first time the European airplane maker has set up an assembly line outside of Europe. And the reason is simple. After the US, China is now the second biggest market for new aircraft. China's internal aviation market is growing at 17% a year, and over the next 2 decades, China will buy 3,000 new planes.
The market of China will be the biggest in the world soon, even before the States, because you have much more population in China, and the country is wider.
You wouldn't have guessed it from this show, but all this is taking place during the worst crisis the airplane manufacturing sector has ever experienced. 3 years ago, Airbus sold over 1,000 planes annually. This year, it'll be lucky to hit 300, as falling demand and a lack of credit force airlines to cut back. As a result, the airplane maker too is desperate to cut costs. This assembly line here in Tianjin looks identical to the ones in Hamburg and Toulouse. And of course that's deliberate, because Airbus in fact wants to transfer as much work as it can out of the expensive Eurozone to places like China, where of course running costs are a lot lower. This factory will soon churn out 4 aircraft a month for the Chinese market. Officially, Airbus wants to capture half of the Chinese market, but by having a major presence here, the company's target is really around 70%. However, no one could accuse Airbus of protectionism. The work done here is work that was once done exclusively in Europe. In other words, well-paying skilled jobs being lost in Europe. Despite that, Airbus insists it will remain a European company with a technological lead, so long as its political leaders continue to pour money into investment back home to come up with the next generation of aircraft.
The message for the folks back home is we need to invest into research and technology. We need to stay at the edge of technology, at the edge of engineering and manufacturing processes, and then aviation in Europe and elsewhere will not die, but will also have a great future. This is a win-win. I'm absolutely convinced of that, looking at the market prospects in China and in other countries.
But the big question now is whether the Chinese are now getting a chance to learn how to make these planes with the aim of building their own down the road.
And that's the big question, of course, anyone deals with, deal with China. You have it on the helicopters, you have it in the big aircraft. Are you training your next competitor? And the answer most executives will give you is, well, possibly, but we rather take the money we can get now and worry about that tomorrow.
In fact, the Chinese state made it clear from the start, if Airbus wanted to set up in China and sell airplanes, there had to be something in return, sharing of information. This Airbus design and training center in Beijing is staffed by young Chinese engineers preparing to make the carbon fiber wings for the prototype A350 XWB. It's secretive work once done exclusively by Europeans. If the Chinese ever do challenge Boeing and Airbus's monopoly, what these designers are learning is crucial, but don't call it spying.
Spy, I would not say that. That was another time. Today you don't need to have spies because you have universities, you have schools.
It will take another 20 or so years to see whether the Airbus gamble in China pays off. Of course, by then, their current bosses will be in retirement, leaving the issue of whether they help China become an aviation superpower to a new generation of executives.